How does the average Joe fight back against inequality? This morning on Morning Joe, I didn't see this. I read the article about it on Mediaite. Scott Galloway, who just sold his company, L2, it's a business intelligence company, for $160 million, and was on TV kind of bragging about that. And he's also a clinical professor of marketing at New York University's Stern School of Business. Mika Brzezinski had he basically went off. I mean, the topic was this huge windfall, economic windfall for Mark Zuckerberg coming from no longer fact checking. This is going to reduce costs dramatically for Facebook and increase, or at least that's the assumption. And Galloway goes off on this rant. First of all, Joe Scarborough set it up. He said he was talking about the tax system, and he said this is accelerating. I say this is a small government conservative. This is a threat to American capitalism. The fact that billionaires are getting richer and richer by the second wall screaming socialism. What does that say about where American capitalism is going over the next 5-10 years? And Galloway says, I think it comes down to the basic question, what is America? He said, I think an economy in America exists to create a robust middle class. Ascendant countries over the last 20 years have been China and India. One basic litmus test, how many people are you bringing into the middle class? The greatest innovation in history is not the iPhone or the semiconductor, it's the American middle class. He continues, he says, the middle class in America is the greatest innovation in history. People like to fall back into this right-wing notion that it's naturally self-healing. It's not. Throughout history, you have a small number of people who weaponize government. They're very talented. They aggregate power. They weaponize government. They aggregate more and more of the spoils. He said the bad news is that it is self-correcting, but typically through war, famine, or revolution. And he goes on to say the tax code, quite frankly, screw the middle class and continue to transfer more money to the super wealthy. And then he goes on to say the fastest growing demographic group in America, keep in mind this guy worth $160 million, he says the fastest growing demographic group in America is not seniors, it's not Latinos, it's billionaires. We had 500 billionaires 10 years ago, now we have 2,500. He said these individuals have weaponized the government and we risk revolution. Whether it's CEOs being murdered in the street, whether it's Me Too movement, which has righteous components, or Black Lives Matter. What are these movements? They're targeting the wealthy. We're in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct income inequality. He says the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office, because for the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were. Why? Because the majority of households are having the oxygen sucked out of the room, such that a small number of individuals and a small number of companies can be worth more than nation states. Income inequality is out of control. Our tax policy has gone full oligarch. He was arguing, and Mika jumped in to say, which was, everybody's terrified that Trump is going to sue them or something. But bottom line, I think it's fairly clear that by most reasonable definition, was found guilty of having done to E.G. and Carroll was rape. But whatever. The point is that he was saying that shooting the CEOs was like the first shot in a revolution, an American revolution. Now, I don't quite share that opinion, but I do believe that, well, it was certainly, I think you could build a case for that. But, hopefully it's not going to be a violent revolution. But I think that what happened, the reason Trump is president again is because, again, people believed his BS, that he was going to change things and restore the middle class that Ronald Reagan gutted. And people don't understand the system because they don't get real news anymore.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Which brings us back to the horrors of what's happening on social media.